Canada. The damn truth is pure dynamite. Welcome to LINEA ROCK.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Okay, all four members of the band, fronted by an old-fashioned singer, and we're here at LINEA ROCK to present the third and brand new album, Now or Nowhere, produced by Bob Rock, and not only him, but I have a question about it later on. Released on May 7th, 2021. And by the way, around those days of the release, Now or Nowhere was Album of the Week here at LINEA ROCK. So that means that the whole week we had one song per night, and we presented the album, and we were very pleased, and our listeners even more than us.
Wow, so cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so classic hard rock with big energy, big impact, even though I know you prefer to call yourselves as a tribe of rock and roll hippies. Okay, how can you sum up your story that, if I'm correct, began like 9 years ago? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, 9 years. It's crazy. It went by fast.
Okay, how can you sum it up for us? You know, what happened in those 9 years? Maybe, I don't know, which are the 3 steps or moments that marked, you know, your career so far up to now?
Well, the band started with the meeting of you guys. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
So you start. You tell the story.
I met Leela at a hippie festival. She was playing this Crosby, Stills and Nash song called Almost Cut My Hair, which happens to be one of my favorite songs. And she was completely naked. I was completely naked. And I brought my guitar with me and I sat next to her and we started jamming and we played for about 9 hours. And immediately we kind of felt that there was a connection there and we have to do something about it, you know? So we decided that we're going to be playing music together for a long time. That's where it started.
That was the beginning.
Yeah.
Then we traveled here to Montreal and met this guy and another bass player at first. We had another incarnation of the band earlier, and we did two records together. But just as we were releasing the second album, which is Devilish Folk, our bass player basically left us and we had to find a new one. In comes PY over here and joined in right as we were releasing the second album. So he basically toured that full album. He stepped right into the position, stepped right into our hearts. We really, and really completed the four of us. And I guess the third step would be recording with Bob Rock, the album which we are now celebrating.
Okay, great. You've been very, the summary is perfect.
So much in between.
What's this damn truth behind the name of the band? What's the message behind this choice?
When we started off, I don't know how things were in Italy about 9 or 8 years ago, but when we started off the band here in Montreal, rock was very much on the sidelines, like there was a big scene happening here in the city of more, I'd say like synth pop and a lot of pop music happening, but not much in terms of rock and roll. And we just couldn't find our place in that genre. We couldn't find our place in that scene. And we decided instead of just trying to fit in with everybody else, we're just going to do something that's true to us, we're going to produce an album or music that we're going to be happy to listen to. And that's where the name comes from, The Damn Truth, because it's,
true to us.
True to us, yeah.
You usually get the inspiration to compose on the road. That's, what I read about the band, because you're sticking all together and also because you toured a lot over the years. This time, however, I guess it did not happen like this. Not quite, maybe. Maybe just partially, I don't know. Since touring, has been shut down since months due to COVID. So was this album composed in a different way, or the songs, come from the last tour that you did and you had a lot of material already written?
Well, most of the songs were written on the road, actually, in our European tour and in our U.S. tour. So yes, so there was the major part of that was written on the road. The big stories, the big singles like "This Is Who We Are Now," especially we remember the moment where that song happened in Texas, in the middle of the night, where it sort of came to Tom. I think a lot of the songs were at least conceptualized on the road. When we got back to Montreal, but this was still a little bit before COVID, because we were already ready to record with Bob Rock. It was November of 2019. Yes. So that's when. So most of the songs were already written. Then. When we did come back from the road, that's when we sort of get together in our jam space and work them out a bit more. But
But you mean that you also arrange maybe during sound checks and the songs are pretty much ready when you come home?
Pretty much. It's not. I would think that every song is a little different. Some songs, yes, we already have like a pretty good concept of what's going on. But yeah, when you get into the studio and we sort of pass the songs through what we call the Damn Truth machine, that's so they do have to come together here in our rehearsal space to really form. Yeah.
The stories is what happens while we travel, you know, the people that we meet and the adventures that we go on. That's kind of where the stories come from. But, you know, before going into studio, we pre-prod and we demo. We come into the rehearsal space and we work on the songs. We do, play some of the material on the road. Like "Lonely" was one of the songs that from this record that, we played night after night, even though it was not recorded, it was not released. But I mean, that was a song that was born on the road and performed on the road, so.
Oh, so some songs you already performed also during the shows, some new ones. Oh, yeah, great. What about the title of the record, Now or Nowhere? Is it a promise or a threat, like a menace?
It's a good question.
The name came from a line that I really enjoyed from this book I was reading at the time. There's a photo of that moment actually in the record sleeve. The line goes something like, tomorrow ends up being the excuse. So we were at that point where we told ourselves, the time is now, We were on the road in the States and we looked at each other. And after playing, great shows, other shows that were less great, we're always just going along and touring. And then this time we were like, this is it. We can't pick up the phone anymore. We're going to do this record. It's now or nowhere. These songs need to see the light of day. And that's what we did, except when we got home, ZZ Top called, so we picked up. But that was the last one. We said no more after that. ZZ Top, last one, then we do the record. And that's what we did. Then we called Bob.
You have been defined modern vintage, which is actually a compliment. What is the most vintage element of your music, and which one is the most modern part of it, of course, from your point of view?
Dave?
I don't know. I think that like one of the I think what people consider vintage maybe is not really a sound or a combination of notes, but I think what they consider vintage is more of a spirit. And I think that especially Leela and I, and I think PY and Dave too, really connect with like the idea of the late 60s and peace and love and writing songs about stuff that matters, if not to anybody else, but at least to us, So I think that maybe modern music, what we consider pop today, is so detached from that idea anymore that anything that is kind of more, in the realm of a reflection on the world we live in and stuff like that, kind of is being called vintage. I personally think that our songs are pretty modern. We talk about stuff that's very relevant to what's happening in our world today. I personally wasn't alive in 1969, not even close to that. But I wrote a lot of these songs about stuff that I feel today. So to me, yes, I do like the guitar and I like the old equipment and those sounds. But this record is just relevant to me as anything else. I don't know what else to say about it.
By the way, I was born in 1969.
Lucky you.
Good year.
Thank you. Okay. The main single and video, This Is Who We Are Now, which you already told us that was actually written completely and arranged on the road. And it was a huge success in the charts already. Was described by Classic Rock UK as a chorus bigger than a bus, which is very flattering. It's great. Is this the exact manifesto of your musical identity at the moment, as the title states? And also, shooting the video upside down is also a manifesto in itself. I mean, growing success can make you dizzy, maybe. That's, what I read between the lines. Is that correct?
There's definitely a lot of chaos, so I think the video definitely portrays the amount of chaos in our life, juggling all this stuff and doing all these shows and having a great time.
For sure. I mean, that line, "This is who we are now," came out from being in basically being on the road, forgetting where you are, forgetting what time of day it is, being so confused and living the moment. And every moment, we were turning into different people in a way, because you have to deal with so many different situations on the road. So one day, we get our promoter steals all our money, and then we look at each other and like, okay, this is who we are now. But the next day, you sell out all your merch, and then you're, this is who we are now. So it was just such an easy sentence to change with and to portray what it is that we're going through from moment to moment. And I feel that with everything that the whole world and a collective has been going through with COVID and with everything that's been going on, we're all, we're at a turning point and becoming a little different, I think. So this is who we are now. We're different.
So you mean, Lee, that sometimes you have to write down the name of the city you are at, or you forget it?
Oh, yes. Many times I would sit backstage and I would say, okay, Houston, just try to remember this. And then I would come up and I would say, hey, St. Louis or something like that, because I completely forgot.
Not just the city either. It's like the city, the hotel, the room number,
the day.
Usually Leela's got a Sharpie and she's writing it on the inside of my arm.
Okay. So Lee, a question for you. They called you Robert Plant and Janis Joplin's daughter, of course, artistic daughter. Do you look and sound more like mom or dad? And which of the two, are you the most proud of, as a comparison, of course?
I love them both very much, probably equally. I definitely have the power, feminine spirit of Mama. I definitely love what she stood for and how she was a force to be reckoned with for feminists everywhere, for women in music and women any place at any time. So she's a huge inspiration. As for Robert Plant, his voice makes me shiver. I absolutely love the way he sings until today. I still follow his music these days. Like the album he did with Alison Krauss is one of my favorite records. It's just, I think he's one of those incredible artists who just doesn't let you down. He keeps going. He keeps reinventing. I am very humbled and very thankful to have those comparisons in my life. All I know is that when I sing, all I try to do is connect with my audience, and I can't hear either of them. When I can't, I don't hear. I just hear myself. I can't.
Okay, tell us more about the Pijamas party with Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top. Was that the last part of the tour you were talking about before?
Being on the road with ZZ Top was the last tour we did before we jumped into studio with Bob Rock. The pajama party was the big party at the end of the tour. As a matter of fact, we weren't in pajamas. We showed up, ready to party with the boys from ZZ Top, because after the last night, they set aside a block of time, and it was going to be like, we all get to hang out and have a drink, drink some Jack Daniels with the boys, and Billy
comes in.
He shows up in his one-piece pajama
With a leather jacket.
Yeah. Because, these guys, like, they travel in comfort, They played their show, they had just gotten off stage, and I guess they hit a quick shower and have a few drinks, and when they came to join us, I mean, they were ready, really chill, basically,
Okay, tell us the weirdest thing that happened at that pajama party.
That was
Well, I don't know if it's weird, but I mean, that night is basically the night where I think we have never again drank anything other than Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Because that night, it was like the lesson of the night was from Billy, and he basically taught us, like, I don't know if it's like the rule of the road or something like that, but these guys drink Jack Daniels and nothing else. On the rocks. And since then, I mean, that's all that there is on our tour rider is Jack Daniels and a lot of ice, and that's how we roll.
Okay. You worked with 4 different producers due to COVID restrictions for this record, Now or Nowhere, which is where Bob Rock, of course, which was the producer that you chose in the very first place, then Jean Massicotte, I hope I pronounce it good, Vance Powell, and Nick Didia. In hindsight, was it a winning choice anyways? A benefit for the record to have 4 different producers, even if it wasn't planned like that, I guess?
I think, first of all, the record was produced by Bob Rock, and 6 songs of the record were produced by Bob Rock, and then the rest was produced by us. But the record was mixed by 4 different mixing engineers.
Okay.
So we really didn't want to produce the rest of the record ourselves, but we also felt like last summer that we're just not gonna wait anymore, and we felt like we had the tools and we had the knowledge of what we took away from Bob Rock in the studio, that we had the confidence that we can do it ourselves, and I'm really happy we did. As for the mixing, I think everybody here in the band are fans of a bunch of different mixing engineers and the stuff that they have done. For example, Vance Powell, he worked with Jack White and all of his endeavors that we are very big fans of. And Nick Didia did Pearl Jam and Dirty Honey, and Jean did a bunch of our favorite local guys here, and don't forget Mike. And Mike Platnikoff in LA, obviously. And we chose the songs that we thought are going to be best for each guy, and I think we did the right choice, and we'll do it again if we had a chance. Yeah.
Okay, for a band with clear ideas like you are, how was working with Bob Rock? You said that you grabbed some suggestions from him, but he is actually such a huge personality. He produced the greatest acts in rock, Motley Crue, Aerosmith, Metallica, just to make a few names. I guess he's also Canadian, so maybe just like you. So maybe you speak the same musical language, I guess. But what's the most precious piece of advice he gave to you? And how did you hook him up? It's not easy, I guess, to get somebody like him.
Well, first of all, we were very lucky to have a friend in common. Basically, the same guy who introduced us to PY years ago, Ralph Alfonso, has now become our manager, managed Bob Rock's band called the Payolas back in the day.
Yeah.
And so he always had a contact with him, and we knew in the back of our heads that we might be able to send him some music one day. And Ralph kept telling us, you only get one shot with Bob, it better be your best. So that's what we were working really, really hard to demo the songs, to get them to the place where we were like, okay, this is cool, send them. And eventually when we did, we got a call back from Bob within the day saying, I love it, come and record. So we were, jumping up and down, absolutely so happy. And we couldn't wait to get on a call with him and find out if, how it's going to work, find out if we were on the same wavelength in terms of the ideas that we were bringing to the table and in terms of what he heard in the demos and what he wanted. But we basically wanted to just feel him out and see that, that this great, huge legend persona is still somebody that we can not be scared of.
Sure.
We were terrified with that first call, but it was like within the first 10, 20 seconds that he was on the phone with us, everything, all those fears disappeared. He was so kind and sweet and real, just a real guy, a real person that you can talk to and feel very, very calm with. And that's the same vibe that kept going throughout the studio, throughout our time with him in the studio. So I think that there's not one thing that I could say, this is what Bob Rock gave us. I think it's like he's a magician. I think it's his magic. He's a magic man, and all of the tools that he used were incredible.
I think there was definitely something that I took away from it that stood out to me was that he said, don't not disrespect, but don't, what's the word that he used?
Take for granted.
It's kind of like, don't think that your audience can't take what you're going to give them, So it's like, I remember when we were demoing stuff, we were trying to cut. There was a lot of cutting. Let's make the songs shorter and snappier. And
bring the chorus
let's bring the chorus faster, or like, let's skip a couple of lines in the verse. And he was like, rock and roll guys, rock and roll audiences, they like the riff. Let them ride on it, let them get into it. And he kind of brought back a lot of our initial ideas, and that kind of stayed with me for a long time.
He understands like the embodiment of the rock fan,
Yeah. Tonight, there's the live stream, a virtual album release party recorded in a church. Why a church? And was it difficult to organize it there? And then, of course, your next plans. 2022 marks the 10th anniversary of the band. So maybe we can celebrate in Italy with a big plate of lasagne bianche, white lasagna. What do you think?
Please. Yes, please. Yes to all of that.
Okay, so tell us about tonight.
Well, I mean, we wanted to do something a little different because the context of this performance tonight is different for us. I mean, we're just used to, going to a venue packed full of people and playing with all of that energy coming back to us. So we told ourselves that we can't go into an empty venue and do, and try to recreate that feeling. So we just wanted to take the idea and flip it on its head and do something completely unique and try to, explore a different space, a different visual, a different vibe, and a different energy. Something, we found this church outside of town with just a beautiful acoustic, a beautiful space, equipped and ready to record. And we assembled an amazing team, the video production team that did our music video, This Is Who We Are Now. The best lighting guy we could find, and the church itself is fitted with an incredible recording studio. So for us, it was an obvious choice, in order to bring just that whole package, the energy, the sound, the visual, all of it. It's just something different, something new, something special. Until we could get back on stage and do that other thing that we haven't done in a year.
Yeah. Next plans?
To get on the road.
Touring as much as we can, as fast as we can. We miss being in the tour van. We miss every night traveling to a new place. We're just waiting for the rules to sort of be relaxed so that we can travel. Everybody gets their vaccine, and then we can go on the road again. Definitely going to be in Europe. We're going to UK in February of 2022. So we're going to be close to Italy. So we really hope we'll be able to jump over and come have some lasagna, because we miss it so much. We had a great time last time we were in Italy, but we didn't get to see any of the big cities. We didn't come to Milan. We didn't go to Rome. So it would be wonderful to travel again throughout Italy.
We were close, though. We came to Lake Como.
Yeah, we were to Lake Como.
All right, Como, yeah. Send us a message when you will come back so we can get, the lasagna ready. Allora, thanks, guys, for your time. Now we're closing the show with Tomorrow. Hope to see you soon. Grazie.
Grazie. Thank you.
Ciao.
Grazie.
Ciao. Thanks very much.